and welcome to the Tulsa Sound Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Eric.
And I'm your host, Oscar Padron.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
we are coming to you for our once every, 160 days that we cycle this thing now? We're getting better. No. Really, we're at 45 days.
Yes.
See, that's so much better than 160.
Instead of doing the show quarterly, we're going to start trying to do it once a week. Once a week, folks.
Yeah, and we're going to work up to that over the next few years. So we want you to stay tuned to the program as we meet these unrealistic goals. But, folks, welcome. Boy, what a show we've got tonight, man.
How are you doing this week, Mr. Eric?
Well, this week in general, or tonight in general?
In general.
This week's been a challenge. It's been been like living in Portland, man. It's been foggy, rainy, foggy, rainy. Icy.
Yes.
I just spent $3,700 to get my car out of a shop, and I went out the next morning, and it wouldn't start. Bang. That's how it is, folks. Thank you. Thank you.
Murphy's Law.
But no, it's Friday night now.
Friday night, case night in the city.
That's right, case night in the city.
Can you tell
Friday
us what
night.
Case night in the city means, Mr.
It means
Eric?
play night.
All right.
And I came to play. No, actually, Oscar, that's great you asked that.
Yes.
I would like to explain that.
Please do.
Very classic Tulsa radio program for many, many years on KRMG was Johnny Martin, and he was sort of the Tulsa night fly. He was the guy who had the late night show, especially on the weekends, that featured a lot of jazz and big band music, sort of nostalgia. Of course, growing up in the 70s and the 80s, I heard Johnny Martin, and it was just something that we listened to when we went to get ice cream at 10 o'clock at night. But he had a number of little sayings that he had. And one of them was, it's case night in the city. And what that means is, back when Oklahoma had much stiffer liquor laws than today, on Friday nights you could go buy an entire case of beer. And so it was time to go buy a case of beer, and then everybody sat around on the porch and listened to the radio.
All right, so nod to Johnny Martin.
Johnny Martin, so
Tulsa
yeah, it's case night.
Legend.
It's play night in the city, and I came to play.
Oh, man, it is case night in the city. It's Friday night. We're here. The show's back.
The show is back.
We are back. Got a lot of
back. exciting
stuff, guys. Really excited
Hank's
tonight.
back.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
So tell us about tonight's show, Oscar, because Oscar's really got a great show for us this time around. He's very excited about it.
Oh, yeah, stay tuned. You're going to want to roll one up.
Oscar wants you to stay tuned. He wants you to get your snacks together.
Get snacks, roll one up.
Get snacky. Are we going to...
Well, we're going to do a little bit of going back in time tonight, guys.
Let's go back in time.
And I'm going to take you guys back to the days of the years between 1989 and about 96. It was a pivotal time in Tulsa. It was the era right before the internet was common in Tulsa. Sure, the internet existed, but it really wasn't in everyone's home during that time in Tulsa, not yet. And so the music genres were blending. We had an emergence of hardcore, thrash, and punk that kind of blended itself together as a visceral response to the political climate at the time, the social climate at the time. This was the way that people expressed themselves, unfiltered, unedited, and unafraid. And I'm talking about the Pitbulls on Crack, Tulsa's own hardcore punks. And I've written a little something. I'm going to go ahead and get into this.
Why don't you go ahead and read that, Oscar, since that's what's in the script.
Yes, that is what's in the script.
Thank you.
So, guys, you got to imagine a different Tulsa than the Tulsa of today, and a kind of a different time. And so, in the vibrant landscape of punk rock, few subgenres commanded visceral response that hardcore punk does. Tulsa, Oklahoma may not be the first city that comes to mind when one thinks of hardcore punk, but the Pitbulls on Crack have carved out a fierce reputation, proving that any place can breed the unyielding spirit of hardcore punk. Hardcore punk is more than just a genre, okay? It's an ethos, okay, defined by speed, power, and a staunch do-it-yourself attitude. Philosophy, hardcore music embodies a rebellious and independent spirit that refuses to bow to the mainstream. It's a sound that gives a voice to the frustrations and aspirations of a generation seeking to leave its mark far from the glossy sheen of commercial music. This is important. It's a sound that gives a voice to the frustrated. The Pitbulls on Crack exemplify the key elements that define hardcore music. Fast and intense tempo. Anyone who has been in the thrall of a Pitbulls on Crack performance knows the sheer energy that their music exudes. It's an adrenaline rush powered by rapid drumming, driving bass lines, and high-speed guitar riffs that demand that you fucking pay attention. Aggressive vocal delivery. To listen to the lead vocalist, to listen to Steve Ray was an experience. The Pitbulls on Crack is to hear the very essence of hardcore vocalization. It's raw. Steve Ray was impassioned and unrelenting. The shouts and screams are authentic cries of an intense emotional journey that this band could take you on. The Pitbulls on Crack stand on the shoulders of giants. Bands like Black Flag, Minor Threat, Bad Brains, and the Dead Kennedys paved a way for the hardcore movement, sidestepping the commercialization of music to create something that continues to inspire and influence today. The art was more than music. It was a social commentary, an umbrella under which the disgruntled dreamers found solace and strength. Today, in the echoes of those seminal bands, the Pitbulls on Crack carry on the torch of hardcore punk, ensconcing themselves into the fabric of this storied genre. They are relentless, they are fierce, and above all, they are gloriously authentic. In Tulsa and beyond, their sound rages on, and a constant reminder that hardcore punk is an indomitable spirit that never fades away. It just finds new voices to scream its truths. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, there was a fertile period for the underground music scene here in Tulsa, intersecting the raw edges of punk, the aggression of thrash metal, and the emergence of alternative rock. This is quite unique for the environment at the time. An audacious band named the Pitbulls on Crack, PBOC, surged into the limelight, hailing from the spirited streets of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Pitbulls on Crack emerged at a time when the music was a kaleidoscope of genres, blending and colliding. Formed in 1988, the band quickly became known for their uncompromising and explosive live performances. Their shows were an amalgamation of relentless theatricality, elements of that endeared them to the burgeoning legion of punk enthusiasts. The band's confrontational lyrics and intense stage presence harnessed an unadulterated spirit of thrash metal and punk rock, echoing a culture that was not just heard, but viscerally felt. Aligning with the ethos of punk was their name, controversial and provocative. Some people didn't like it just because of the name. While some found it endearing, others found it offensive. Yet, regardless of their opinions that it garnered, the name Pitbulls on Crack was not the one that could be easily dismissed. With a statement of their intense approach to music and an emblem of audacity that set the tone for all of their performances, PBOC was characterized by an onstage persona that intertwined humor with not taking themselves too seriously. Notably, for a metal band, they played an eclectic mix of cover songs, anything from southern rock anthems of Lynyrd Skynyrd to the politically charged rap of Public Enemy, and the iconic hits of U2 and the poetic musings of Neil Young. The surprising selection showcased their versatility and hinted at a deep retrospective and various of musical legends. And while we still maintain the heavy and tight sound reminiscent of old school hardcore, with each lineup change, the band's sound evolved, reflecting and shifting dynamics of the creative engines of all the members. Though the Pitbulls on Crack have long since ceased making music, their influence persists. The band's raw, unfiltered expression and willingness to push the envelope of performance and emblematic time in Tulsa music history, in our Tulsa Sound music history. When boundaries were there to be tested, these guys were on the front lines. Okay, and when the energy of a live music could definitely define a generation. In Tulsa and beyond, the Pitbulls on Crack remain an emblem of the era, a testament to the role that audacity and authenticity play in the annals of punk rock and the Tulsa Sound. So we're going to get into it, guys. If you haven't
Oh, it's
yet,
fucking beautiful, man.
we're going to be talking about punk.
Oh, that shit you just said there. You're a genius, man.
We're going to be talking about
Ladies and
Pitbulls on
gentlemen,
Crack
shut the
tonight.
fuck up. We'll be right back after this commercial message.
Here's looking at you, we're independent. For all to see, we'll be what you want us to be. We're playing favorites each day. That's the reason we say there's only one you. There's only one you. Tulsa 23.
Hey, I'm Russell, and I got Wayne here. What's up? And this new F1 race for Game Boy. Up to 4 guys can play each other at the same time. Whoa, major crash! Use the turbo, man. Number 3's dusting him. Each guy's got his own race. Whoa, brakes! And his own screen and his very own view of the race. No, he's got one quick. I don't know what Wayne said was. I don't know what he said. Anyway, 4-player adapter things included. F1 race for Game Boy from Nintendo. Round up your posse and check it out.
All right, and we're back again here at the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
Hey,
And we were just kind of reminiscing about some of the early part of, I guess we're going to call it the punk scene first, because there was a kind of a difference in the early days because it was kind of a new deal.
I have something.
Yeah.
Please welcome to the show
Oh, I'm sorry,
our good friend and good friend of the show, Mr. Steve Ray.
Steve Ray, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Steve, so glad to have you here. See, you'll have to forgive us, but on this show, we have really bad memory problems. So anyway, after everything that you were saying about Pitbulls on Crack, Steve's band back in those days, we were just off camera during the commercial break, kind of reminiscing about some of the earliest of all of that. I was my first exposure was when all of my friends got to see the Sex Pistols at the Canes, but I was out of town that week, and I didn't get to go. And I came back, and something had happened. Something had happened, and these guys were starting to form some bands. And maybe about 5 or 6 groups of guys got really charged by that. And it bred this little scene. And I think a lot's been said about the fact that band didn't play very many places in
Now,
the
you
country.
mentioned a place called the Crystal Pistol, Mr. Eric.
Yes, the Crystal Pistol, 724 North Sheridan. Now, the Crystal Pistol was a club that was owned by a local punk drummer. His girlfriend's mom owned the club, and she was a really nice lady, and she would let the punk scene and the new wave music scene come and happen there on Wednesday nights only.
Now,
So,
what was the general feeling about new wave music in Tulsa at that time?
well, it wasn't like all new things. It wasn't really loved. It was very hard, especially when you were doing originals. And back then, you know, it's guys, you got to know it's 180 degrees from the way it was back then. Nobody did originals, and if you played a bar, they didn't want you to play your originals. Screw that. Well, what you guys did, they had a genre that it was so do-it-yourself, and that's where I think a lot of what we would call the new wave bands kind of grabbed onto that too, which is we're going to write our own songs whether you like it or not, and we're going to play them and sing them, and people are going to come and they're going to pay us to watch it. And it's not going to make a ton of money, but just watch. As this scene grew, suddenly it started being a real thing. And Tulsa had a great scene back then compared to other cities. But we didn't get to see much because things weren't the way they are now, where you have internet so that everybody can see what everybody else is doing. There was also a lot of pushback, especially against punk with Tulsa Police. I know that there's at least 2 times that I was running sound on punk shows when the police came and shut the show down.
So the police would frequently shut punk rock and hardcore shows down.
Absolutely. It happened at the Crystal Pistol.
You
And
always
it
bet on it.
happened at Club Nitro. Well, you always knew that the chance was there. A lot of it, honest to God, a lot of it depended on what was going on out in front of a club that night.
Yeah, and the police were viscerally against these musicians.
Well, no, they were
There was
viscerally
opposition.
against kids standing out in front of the bar.
Yeah.
Honestly, the shows that I saw that they hemmed it in and everybody was inside dancing and going crazy weren't nearly as intense as the ones that had a big scene out in the front door. So, Steve, we're sitting here talking, man.
Yeah, man.
Share this with us.
Yeah.
Here,
yeah,
just get right up on that
I'm
microphone.
old enough to remember all that stuff, and there was a lot of fights and problems, and
Yeah.
there got to be a big skinhead scene and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of put an end to that. But it wasn't so much us; it was just time out.
Right.
That it's like we just happened to be there.
Yeah.
The end of that kind of insanity. And so we were working with different bands, and of course I was the old guy in pit bulls anyway, so I remember all this stuff.
Yeah.
You guys didn't really, but so yeah, I brought a lot of kind of old jokes and things
Right.
to the table that people hadn't heard, and I don't know. But personally, we just wanted to get attention.
Do your thing.
And we were going to
Do your thing.
to
Yeah.
get attention.
Well, and that's, I think, when we talk on this show, we say, what is the Tulsa Sound? One of the things I've been thinking about lately is part of the Tulsa Sound is you've got musicians that really want to do something. I've been in a lot of cities and played in a lot of scenes where they could almost like give it or take it sometimes. It's like, hey man, let's just griping about little things rather than going for a gig, having the opportunities and taking advantage of them. So people here, I think as it's hard here, it's tough here.
It is.
Back even in this period of the late 80s, early 90s, you still had a very derivative music scene in town.
For sure.
And by that, I see there's nothing wrong with, and we know here at Tulsa Sound Podcast, we celebrate the blues. We celebrate red dirt. But there was a time when, and I hate to say it, but there was a lot of animosity between certain genres of music. And so you guys kind of came in a way that sort of healed a lot of that. Well, ladies and gentlemen.
We came in and we were really against the hair metal scene, so we kind of, made fun of that. Yeah. We were making fun of everything, and we were really being sarcastic about everything. So, and from the being on the stage standpoint, really trying to get people to have a good time, make people laugh.
Yeah.
And so, and then give them this rapid assault of the music that we did. And it seemed to work for quite a while.
I played in a band called Radio Milan, and we had the same thing. We refused to take ourselves seriously. The band was actually shaped after a graphic novel cartoon that the bass player had drawn. And suddenly we found ourselves, in this weird writing songs about a comic strip. But the audience loved it because it didn't take itself seriously.
Right.
And I remember, just about the time that I moved out to California, word comes back from Tulsa. And you're like, man, the new band is these guys called Pit Bulls on Crack. What the hell is that? Oh man, it's like tongue-in-cheek punk metal. It's great.
Brought to your attention while you were living in San Francisco.
Yeah,
You're hearing about Pitbulls on Crack in San Francisco.
Your friends come to visit. Once you live in San Francisco, man, everybody's got a place to come and hang out and stay. So you get about a visitor every month. And they all come back, and that was the main band that we heard about back out there in our little enclave.
How did you guys come up with the name
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
I wasn't around when they did, and I wasn't in the band when they first formed. There was another singer, and he didn't last long. And Andy had named the band Pitbulls on Crack, and him and I used to be in a band prior to that, a few years before. And we had won a battle of bands when we thought we were rock stars. It was like our second gig. And so I didn't, kind of lost contact with him, and I ran into him, and he had gained weight, cut off all his hair, and I didn't even recognize him, and he was acting like he was wanting to start trouble with me, and I was like, who is this cat? And it was Andy, and he told me he was in Pitbulls on Crack. Well, I'd been seeing his flyers around.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's you? He said, yeah, man. So we kind of talked a little bit and got back into talking, and we were actually talking about, he was talking about leaving these guys because he said they weren't very good musically.
Yeah.
He was talking about leaving them, and we were going to start our own band again. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then he calls me up to try out for the singer, and so I thought you were going to leave these guys. And he said, no. The singer left. So I was like, okay, I'll come out. And yeah, I guess it was fate.
Fate brought you to the door.
Yeah, but it would have never happened had I not had this relationship with Andy in this band prior to that, because there was a real, the story of Pitbulls is really me and him.
Yeah.
Although, it's TSC, it's the Tulsa Skate Cruise, where everybody thinks it started. He's got a song that referenced that in the early days, and that was the bass player and the drummer. But they kind of both dropped out pretty quick, so it wasn't really about TSC as much as it was about me and Andy, and then after Andy left me and Trev. But it was good. I think everybody was big personalities in that band.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to always get along.
Right. Well, that's that's bands.
But we're brothers anyway.
Right.
You can stay.
Sure.
But, when we were going through it, it was not all what you might have seen from on stage, where it was like we pretty much looked like we loved each other. But we practiced with each other.
Sure.
And they weren't afraid of me because I was the biggest guy.
Well, I know there's been a couple of times that we just let fight go and rehearse. Just like, well, they'll get it out of the system. Hey guys, hey, get away from the amplifier. What's the matter with you?
So my memory is meeting Steve Ray in 1994. And I went to work at the Cain's Ballroom as a stagehand. And at the time, there was a guy that was production manager of the facility that I'd been in a band with. His name was Steve Bailey, and he was acting like a production manager there.
It's a production manager's song.
What he told me was, hey, come down, we'll give you a job, blah, blah, blah. And he just put me to work. Well, this went on for about a week or so, and I never got paid. And at the end of the night, everybody else was getting paid, and my envelope never made it to me. And after about a week of eating shit and paying my dues and loading trucks and setting up gear and blah, 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 I'd finally had it, man. And because he kept telling me he was going to pay me at the end of the week. He was going to pay me at the end of the week. But I noticed that everybody else was getting paid at the end of each gig. And this was a busy week at the ballroom, and I think we had Ministry, and I think we had Misfits, and there's a bunch of hardcore shows all going on. We didn't sleep for 5 or 6 days. It was bad. It was a lot of work. It was great, actually, but it was just a cacophony of work. And in the midst of all this,
it's a young man's game.
Steve here has to deal with my ass, some new guy on the fucking crew, a new FNG. Who's this guy? Great, another one of Otter's friends, another one of Dusty's friends. Who's this guy? And so, first 3 or 4 days, I was really kind of following Rick around because that's what I was told to do, and he was kind of the house electrician at the time. And so I was just doing all this stuff and doing load-ins and stuff, but the situation kind of got heated and with me and Bailey because he wasn't paying me. And Steve Ray stepped up and vouched for me and made sure I got paid.
All right, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
Yeah, and hey, I got to tell you,
High five that motherfucker right
it made
there.
all
Yeah.
the difference in the world. And at that point, I knew I was a crew member. And at that point, I knew that I belonged there. And at that point, man, I felt some of that Pitbulls on Crack love, and it was really real. And I've never forgotten it, Steve, and I've always appreciated that because it really felt like everybody there was just kind of trying to run me off. Like, get the fuck. I mean, it was dangerous in the truck. It was crazy. I had to deal with Don Wyrick and tweaked out caterers. And taco
Ladies and
joint,
gentlemen,
just all
Don
kinds of
Wyrick.
stuff. But,
You know, it's interesting that you brought this up because
True.
everybody needs to know I am the type of dude that will put people on the spot. So we've reached that point in the show.
Uh-oh.
It was June 16th, 1996. It was Father's Day.
okay.
It was the Butthole Surfers
Right, on the west bank of the river.
on the West Bank, and I was working, and I had a radio. You know, this was in the day way before the show. We're setting
man.
up, and
I
then
know.
the guys are loading the truck onto the stage from a ramp, and I'm over there with one of my supervisors. I've got the radio, and I hear on the radio, said, hey, so-and-so just broke his leg, and they came back and said, do what? And he said, so-and-so just broke his
Catfish
leg.
is broken.
And he's like, one of the truck loaders jumped off the ramp and sent him flying. And that's what I heard on the radio. And me and Jerry, my
did a
boss,
pro wrestling move.
I
off
looked
of
at my
the
boss, and we're
fucking
just
truck ramp.
jaws dropped, and he goes, go over there and take care of that. And I'm like, thanks, Jerry. And so I did. I went over there, and I didn't know which one, and I had a feeling it was Iceberg because
Right. Rick
and
Bird.
I walked over there, and I could see the guy on the ground, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to keep somebody from getting their ass kicked here because these guys instantly hated us.
Yeah,
And
this was early in the load. This was like midway through the load in.
Oh,
he
boy.
broke his leg. And I guess he got carted off, and the show went on. And
He had
then,
to leave the tour, is what they told me.
Oh well, yeah, if he broke his
He
leg,
had to go home.
I'm
Well,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel bad.
And I
to this
know
day.
you did
I
not
feel
mean
bad.
to.
No,
I know.
I was being playful with the guy. And I
So,
accidentally hurt
if
him.
I
didn't
understand this correctly, you are attacking the road crew.
I was.
Well, I
in
happened
love.
to bring the backstage pass.
Ladies
on
and
this show.
gentlemen, look at that.
Butthole Surfers, and Oscar,
Surfers
I would
and the
really
toadies.
like. I brought Sharpies and everything.
Oh,
I would like for you.
This is
See, it's a
incredible,
Texas
ladies-
flag because it was a Texas
that,
show. Right?
Oh, yeah.
The Reverend
So
Horton
I
Heat
want
was
you to
out of
write
Texas.
Tulsa Podcast on here.
Oh, heck yeah, Tulsa
And write
Sound
Horns
Podcast.
down and sign your name. Okay, you don't have to do it this second.
Got it. You got
And then we'll
it.
take a
Right.
picture of it later and put it up on.
That's incredible, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to apologize to Catfish. I hope you're out on
Yeah,
the gig
Catfish.
somewhere to this day. I hope you're probably still working for the Reverend Horton Heat, and I hope you're making lots of money and have
It
a
was a
beautiful
bad
wife
deal.
and lots of kids. I'm so sorry, bro.
Yeah, I know you didn't
Didn't
mean
mean
to do
to
it.
happen.
That's too much.
I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah, and then it rained. That they quit playing like an hour early, and I didn't have any stagehands, and they really hated us by the end of the night, and they kept saying, "Well, don't these guys know it's raining?" I was like, "Well, I'm sure some of them do. You know, what do you want me to do? We don't have cell phones yet,
Yeah.
and they're probably trying to dodge tornadoes. I don't know. It was a bad
Well,
storm.
here's the kicker. He was in charge of the truck pack, and it was a new tour, and he was the only one that knew how that entire semi was loaded.
Oh, hell.
So they were pissed.
Oh,
off
man,
at
they
us.
were.
Dead man on
They were,
Tetris.
and
So upset.
there was like 5 inches
All
of
day.
mud everywhere.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Steve was on a forklift that kept getting stuck in the mud. I do remember that.
It was a great time. It was a good show. Reverend Horton Heat. It's always a good
Fantastic
time.
show.
Stagehands are the most masochistic people.
Felt bad, and then they all, each individual tech, tried to load their own section of the truck. So the lighting guy got in, and I got to get grief from him.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just every video guy grief
Oh,
from
yeah.
him, sound guy grief from him. Everybody hated me. It was glorious.
That was
Glorious.
just fantastic.
It was
show.
actually awful.
Those are the days, weren't they?
Those were the days.
Oh man,
Steve
you
and
know,
I worked together down at the Canes Ballroom from '94, and I left in '98.
I left about '98
Yeah,
too.
'98 we all left.
Yeah.
In 98, we all left, and things changed, and we all had to grow and change, and that's
Sure.
life, kids.
That's absolutely.
That's
There
life.
was a time for that. It was like the 70s, By 98, it was the 90s were over. We just,
Yeah.
and then we didn't know.
In Tulsa, the
was
70s continued till about 1985.
At least.
Hello.
The 80s continued until about 1994.
Yeah.
And that's real. That's real.
Yeah, my man. What people up there?
And Tulsa was fun. It was fun to
Well, Tulsa's
grow
always
up.
been fun.
Tulsa's great. Steve and I have done a ton of shows together.
We have.
Just a ton of load-ins, load-outs. Sometimes we load the entire show in, do the show, load it out. It sat in the truck in the parking lot, and then we'd load it back in at 8 a.m. the very next day.
Oh, yeah.
Same gear.
Sleep
Yes.
2 hours.
So the justification was, well, that way you guys get paid for load in and load out.
That's
Three
genius.
19-hour days in a row. I mean, you don't know your
We
name.
survived on Taco Mayo. Larry Schaefer fed us so much Taco Mayo.
Ted's
And
hamburgers.
he had his Lunatic's lunch today.
Oh yeah, I saw
he
that.
still does
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and man, we need to invade that and get down there. He's invited me, so
Has he?
look
Boy, it's a
for us,
lot
yeah.
of people at that thing.
yeah, it's a good deal. The Canes Ballroom is about to celebrate their 100 years.
Isn't that just awesome, man?
Man,
I know
that's a-
Kane's Ballroom.
Schaefer's. I saw him speak about it. the
Yeah,
other
I saw a
night,
thing
too.
on YouTube about the Video Mike shot. Shout out to
Video
Video
Mike,
Mike.
yeah.
Remember that guy? He worked. Well, he didn't work there, but he was there with us all the time.
He was.
He wasn't really part of our crew, but he was part of the elements of design that was Little Wing
Oh, I
Productions
know.
back in those days.
He was definitely a thorn in my side all the time.
Well, we want to thank Video Mike because
Oh, I
tonight,
love Video Mike.
At the end of the
He
show, we're gonna
recorded-
show you guys some video.
He
of
recorded
Pitbulls.
Pitbulls too.
Yes,
Yeah, he
and
recorded
live at the
tons
Cancer. He
of
may be
stuff.
one of the only people that has actual video out there.
He gave them all to me. I've got a ton of Video
oh,
Mike
great,
stuff.
man.
I do. It's stuff that he doesn't have. Stuff that he gave me that night, or
He's been plugging
Charged
at it
us
for
$10
nearly
bucks.
40 years of
Man,
VHS recording and taping and stuff, and he's out there. He's still doing it.
He's still out there.
Thanks, Video Mike.
Yeah, the night of Faith No More at the Mohawk, he was out there, and and I was a stage manager and Faith No More's people, and they were playing, and the tour manager guy came up and just leveled me, man. What the hell is this guy doing? I'm like, okay, get him the fuck out of here, and I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, Video Mike, you got to go, and it's loud, and he
So
can't.
Steve
He's like,
was the
huh?
stage manager, which meant at the time for Little Wing Productions, he handled all the crap that Schaefer did not want to handle.
Stage manager music, right?
Anything that Bachman or Schaefer or
Yeah.
David Souders
Go see about the
didn't wanna
broken
handle,
legs.
they would
Ladies and
send
gentlemen,
Steve to send
David
about broken legs,
Souders.
unauthorized video,
David
loose women, any of that stuff.
Souders.
Tons of shows, tons
There's tons of David.
And this
Good
was back
times.
before the ballroom was remodeled, and so we didn't have
Yeah, it was
heat.
when it still
We
had the
didn't have
stinky ceiling.
We didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have heat. It was rough.
I'd like to say something about that. Played over there back a couple of weeks ago in December, and I really kind of missed the old ceiling.
I do
Well,
too. You know
yeah.
what? The acoustics were better
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
the 12-foot ceiling or whatever it was, and they really were. And they had that dialed in with that before amplification.
It made the floor
Bob
bounce.
Wills, yeah,
It made the
they had
floor
that-
bounce.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's cool looking. It's really neat, and I
is.
like it. But
I love it.
it's
a beautiful
also
remodel.
when that old ceiling was ended, it seemed to make it darker in there and just even sleazier. And it smelled like the damn Rose Bowl.
It did look a little more Route 66-ish.
It sure did.
And but they had to do something because I mean
yeah,
that
well.
ceiling was falling in.
Well, sure.
And the roof and the floor, which they've replaced
Well,
the floor even since the Rogers
yeah,
owned it.
and-
Absolutely.
I know
uh,
that it still gets really warm in there in the summer, but it's not like,
Not
it,
like it
was back.
was.
No, God.
No, we did.
Where you
do
could
the
pass
Foo
out in
Fighters
there.
in there in the
Yeah,
summer. Oh
yep.
my!
I remember being at several shows in there, but I got to see Frank Zappa in there one time,
awesome.
and it was hot. And he said something about it from on stage, like, "I guess you people don't have air conditioning out here," something like that. We're all like, "No, we don't, Frank, you motherfuckers!"
So, Steve, I put together a slideshow.
Okay.
And I'm going to start showing some photographs, and let's just talk about them.
All right.
All right, well, here we go.
All right.
Let the slideshow
Nathan,
roll.
Nathan has an adjustment to make, and
Yeah, we're gonna.
in the meantime,
gonna
Mr.
make
Eric's
an
going to tell you about Scooter's boat tours.
Come on down, folks, this weekend. Scooters Boat Tours. We got it all going on. We got the Arkansas River Special. We're going to ride you up and down the Arkansas River between the 24th Street Bridge and the 11th Street Bridge. You're going to be able to take a shotgun with you and shoot it at them redneck people running up and down that there river run trail. Let's clear that river of them goofy runners and get it going. That's here at Scooters River Run. You come on down. We're going to get you on that river one way or another. And don't bother the chemicals because they're good for you.
Scooters. All right, guys. Got some photographs to look at.
Let's roll it.
Let's do it.
Let's roll it.
All right. And here we go. Tulsa legend. Steve Ray. Pitbulls on Crack. Yes.
Thank you.
That's
That's the center of the universe right
That
there.
is
That's
the
the
center of the
Jazz Hall of
universe.
Fame behind us there. Yeah, that's
Jazz
right.
Hall. Man, what a great place.
Yeah,
And
the old
Union
Union
Otherwise
Station.
known as the Union
That's
Depot.
Union, yep,
Union
you're right.
Station. And Eric, do you have a fun fact about Union Station?
Yes, when I was a child, I was totally enamored with the building and ended up getting a copy of the blueprints from Tulsa Urban Development. And my dad made copies of them, and I still have them to this day.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, you're a dork. Holy crap,
Well,
you're a dork.
but it's a cool building, and I can remember going into that building and crawling around. When what was on my mom's mind? Mom, we're going to go down to the abandoned train station and crawl around in there with the homeless guys. All right, honey, I'll drop you off. It was a different day
So
and age.
here's one of my favorite pictures of Steve. Steve's in full Elvis
Not
regalia
Elvis.
here.
Nice Elvis era.
Tell us about
yeah.
this, man.
You know, that is that's the cover for Feeding Frenzy, which we did in '95, and that was after Andy and we kind of broke up and got back together without authorization because that is the Pitbull's way or permission
Okay.
from the rest of the
No
guys.
authorization, no permission.
Yeah. So we pissed everybody off. But, we did this, and I called up our photographer who'd been with us for a long time, and we actually called him the Sixth Pitbull. And he is sitting on a vault of Pitbull's
man.
pictures, but you'll never get him to ever share any.
I
But anyway, his name Mark Torrance, and
Mark Torrance.
and he's done a lot of the photos here that we're going to see. But
So
I called him up and I said, look, I want to do this album, call it Feeding Frenzy, Pitbulls on Crack, Feeding Frenzy.
Feeding Frenzy.
And I said, I've got like an idea of Elvis eating a Twinkie for the album cover. And,
That's right.
which I thought was kind of clever. And then he ran with that idea and he set that whole thing up. Now, when the printing came out on those CDs, it was like red wash, but the actual photos that he did were just gorgeous. I mean, and this guy, all these stuff that he did, this was before Photoshop.
Oh, yeah.
And so, he was a very, very talented and still is to this day. And I don't talk to him much, but that's cool there.
Yeah, man. Our
You
art
did
department
that.
did a little bit of little Pitbull-inspired art.
Psychedelic, man.
man.
I love it.
Yeah, and this is my favorite logo you guys ever had out there.
Yeah.
I still have one of these behind a frame in my bedroom that's with a bunch of stage passes.
That
and
little
stuff.
puppy looks sweet to me.
I just loved it. I love the black and white image. I love the ferocity of this. I mean, it was just an amazing graphic, man. This caught your eye.
Yeah.
This did not mess around.
That
you know.
dog looks like it's been smoking
Found an old
processed
flyer.
cocaine.
Yeah, we played the Icon a lot.
The Icon, man. Tell us about the Icon, Steve.
Well, this was down
'Cause you
on
worked
Peoria.
there.
Yeah,
Right.
we worked on the one on Elgin, but
Yeah.
we
David
played it.
Souders.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
Dave
it was.
Souders.
David.
Played at the one on Peoria a lot,
Souders.
and it was really fun to play there. We would play that side of town, and we couldn't bring our East Side metal bar buddies. That we go play over there, and nobody would come to see us.
They would not come to Brookside.
Right,
They just wouldn't do it.
But people would show up to see us, the curious onlookers and what have you, and people that hated us. You can't undersell the people that hated us for our success because we really loved. The fact, don't ignore us.
Right.
Talk bad about us, fine, but don't ignore us.
So here's a picture of you guys on stage with Canes, man.
Yeah,
love it.
that's actually past the remodel. That was our reunion there in 2009, I do believe.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Man, tell us about this. Now I'm gonna take a second and shout out this picture. This is a picture, guys, of Steven Tyler. Steven Tyler, the frontman for Aerosmith.
That's him, all
Steven
right.
Tyler is wearing a Pitbulls on Crack T-shirt.
That son of a
And I
bitch.
believe this is a photograph, a screenshot from the Crying video. Is that right?
That is right.
Crying
That
was
is
a hit
right.
song that Aerosmith had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This was hot. This was on MTV. This is back when MTV actually played music.
Right.
I'd have my lawyers on that, Steve.
And
God damn it.
Well, we have an interesting Steven
He's
Tyler.
a sexual offender, you know.
We have a Steven Tyler connection to Tulsa, Mr.
Oh, well,
Eric.
that's right. Huh?
Yeah, well, he married a girl from here.
Well, there you
And
go.
so this is how he got turned on to the Pitbulls on Crack. And when we all, as a community, music fans, when we saw this on our TVs at home, we went nuts, man. We went
Yes.
nuts in East Tulsa. We went nuts going, whoa, look at that.
Yes, the phone rang during the world premiere of that video incessantly for an hour or so.
World premiere video was like a big thing. They do it on a
Yeah.
Friday or Saturday night, and you know, they waited till midnight or 11
Yeah, they're
Eastern
promoting
time.
it all week.
They'd promote it all week, and then boom, everybody would check out the
Everybody
new
would watch it,
whatever
yeah.
video.
Dude looks like a lady.
But yeah, high profile, extremely high profile. And there's kind of a tighter shot of you guys
Yeah,
out there
that's
in
the
front
Union
of the
Station
Union
there.
Depot. And, tell us about this gentleman.
It looks like Trev.
It is Trev, right?
Yeah.
Trev.
That does look like Trev
Trev, you
Heiner,
handsome-
the original
you handsome
guitar
man.
player for Pitbulls on Crack, and that's back when he had a really long, nice head of hair, which I didn't have back then.
Hey,
So,
man, there you are in a pumpkin get
Gray
up.
Pumpkin,
my guy.
man. Yeah, the Gray Pumpkin, the
TGP.
Elvis Shades. You went to Memphis with us when I started.
hell yeah.
That's when I first bought the Elvis Shades, and that lasted for years. Yeah.
Taking care of business.
So we found an old flyer.
Okay, now that's Just Say No, and they're from Chicago or something. And when I joined the band, it was 1990. There was no internet or anything, and it was like we couldn't check to see if there was another Pitbulls on Crack on Google. So there was another, I guess, but they had already broke up or something. And I'm not sure if this was that band or this is a band called Just Say No that had a song called Pitbulls on Crack. But when I first joined Pitbulls, yeah, they kind of told me about this.
It was a war. There's a
They had
war
this
on.
little record, and
Damn.
they found it Starship or something. And yeah, I don't know that much about
But
it.
you
though.
guys crushed them. You crushed them like the
We totally did.
So
tools that
back
they were.
in the 90s, there was a guy that did a lot of graphics for the Icon, for the Cain's Ballroom, and he called himself Sex Kill Graphics.
None of the above.
Well, and this is an NOTA poster, Pitbulls on Crack poster. NOTA stood for None of the Above.
NLTA, none of the above.
None of the above. But this is a Sex Kill Graphics poster. All of his stuff had a similar feel and style, and it really defined the era. When we think about that time period, all the posters used to be up on telephone poles, guys.
Yeah, they did.
Or they would be in the window of the record store
Yeah.
or all around certain
You had to
areas
get
of
creative.
town. You had to get
Strip
creative.
bars.
I'm going to tell you
Strip
something.
bars.
Bars, sandwich shops.
When they took down the telephone pole
Out in front of Starship.
Yeah, it was a
it was
Saturday.
more metal than wood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the staples for sure.
For sure.
Oscar, did you do that graphic?
I
Some more
did.
psychedelic
I did.
Pitbulls on
Well,
Crack.
man,
I love
look
it.
at that.
So here's a poster that I've always liked. This was a gig you guys did with Jacob.
Yeah.
And the guys in Jacob worked with us as stagehands also down at the Cain's. Shout out to Cody Bailey. I know you're watching. What's up, Cody? Shout out to Chris Bailey. Hey, man, call me back. What's going on with you?
They don't call people back.
They're big rock stars now and shit, Anyway, but yeah, this is one of my favorite posters from back in this era.
Yeah, that is ours for responsibility. The Souders had something to do with this. Of course, it was an Icon, so
David
duh.
Souders.
But we were, in the 95 or 6 range, we were in the paper all the time. And Tulsa World put us in there, had our picture, and, we had some advertising some show, and some lady wrote a letter, and she said, "It is R for responsibility." And so she was mad that Tulsa World was
that's the evil mother.
Well, yeah. It's like
It's got the wiggly worms on it there.
Who do we have here on the
That
black?
is original bass player. We talked about TSC. That's Shannon Ball, and he's the original bass player from the Pitbulls and from TSC. And the drummer from TSC that was in Pitbulls when I first joined was Pete Cunningham, and he was the drummer for TSC. And I really he was even older than Andy. So I really kind of connected with this guy right off the bat, and then he quit right away. And I can't remember all the details.
Where did you
of that.
guys play the most at? Which joint were you guys in the most? Because I remember seeing you guys at the Canes and at the Icon, but I really didn't see you on the east side at the time.
Well, we only really, in those early days especially, the east side was pretty much just Windjammer or Iggy's, if you call Sheridan east. But,
Iggy's.
Well, Sheridan is east now, but
it was
more east then than it is now.
And is this the album cover for? Is this the liners, the inside of Reading Frenzy?
no, that's Mark Torrance photography there. That's
I like this shot.
that's a picture. That's a fisheye lens thing.
Yeah.
That's me and Trev.
Cool, man.
There's another one of Andy and the rest of the guys, but there's
hell was
that one.
that?
I haven't seen. I didn't send you that one. Now you found that.
Oh
That's
man,
cool.
I was doing a bunch of research. I
Yeah,
found a band
right on.
in Bloomington, Indiana, calling themselves Pitbulls on
Yeah,
Crack.
yeah, yeah.
Sons of bitches.
They
There's-
haven't put
there's
anything
a-
out since 2002.
I think
so
there was
I
a
don't know.
Mexican band called Pitbulls on Crack too.
Somebody in Brazil.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
using
okay.
that. And so I found a couple of other incarnations of Pitbulls on Crack out there, but none
I'm not
of them
even going
would
to try to
ever
guess
go
what that
down.
would be in Spanish or Portuguese.
El perro
Yeah,
en
it's
crack.
Portuguese in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
So this is the album cover we were talking about earlier.
Perro e
This
blue.
is before Photoshop. This is before all the AI. This is before all these
AI.
things. When a creative had to be really creative.
Yeah.
And so here's a result of and I love the TV. Elvis was famous for
course.
shooting a televition.
Yes.
Back in my favorite era of Elvis was the fat, drugged out Elvis. Sure. He was a fucking rock star, man. He was
You're talking about the white leather Elvis with a tear on his
talking
cheek.
about this Elvis right here, man.
Right.
With a tear on his cheek on a
I
velvet
love this
painting.
record. I love this album cover. This is just
If Elvis and
God.
John Lennon were alive, would they have facial tattoos?
Bless America. They would have them. They would.
just one of your old gig. You guys used to do several gigs with Guy Smiley back in the day.
We definitely did, yeah.
Brian Simmons, David T. Garden Jr. in that band. I mean,
yeah.
I
Craig
love the
Spain.
Craig
comic book thing.
played bass for them.
Yeah, this is artwork by Terry Waska here again, and
okay.
he made this for me a long time ago. Man, this was nothing we've really put out, but he kind of made this for me, and
Wow.
we had this kind of thing there where you see where he says plum maniacal, and we had this kind of redneck way of saying it. We would say things like "pay, bay, oh, say," to hillbillify, because we were just
better, man.
we were just fun, yeah. So it's like, don't make us tell you twice.
Love that.
Buy it. Yeah,
Love
that's
that.
also Terry
Don't make us tell you
Waska.
twice.
He did so much stuff. It was Terry
It says
Waska
so
and Mark
much.
Torrance did all the artsy-fartsy stuff for the most part, anything you're going to see here. But, yeah.
You guys had opinions, and you guys had things you wanted to say, and you said them.
Well, we
Bands
wanted
these
to make...
days don't do that.
Yeah,
Steve.
but,
They might, but
they just
we
don't.
We weren't necessarily trying to change the world or anything. I mean, we weren't that... our anger was kind of, like I said, sarcastic to an extent,
That
Yeah,
was
we
very-
like
that
anger.
was right out of the punk scene. I mean,
Right.
there was
Yeah,
tons
it
of
was sort of like
sarcasm.
Andy Kaufman or Malcolm McLaren or, P.T. Barnum. This kind of mentality going forward with the band was, this was the first shot when I was in the band. You can see in the middle there's the drummer, Danny Dodge, and that was his first tryout with us, and I'd only been in the band for a couple of weeks. This is where Dead Town Lounge used to be at Cheyenne and Archer.
Okay.
yeah.
And when I joined, it was like late June or something, and they had no air conditioner in there. And I'm coming in, I'm like 28, 29 years old, and they're older than 20, and I'm like, hey, I can't do this. I can't sing like this in this heat. But I did. And but that was Danny, and then he brought his Buddy, and it's really funny, and I told these guys at the time, and they laughed about it, but Mark Torrance was our photographer, and he was his best friend.
Oh, that's cool.
It's Danny's friend, and so they both came out, and then he's like just trying out for us, and Mark just starts, he's got like a really nice camera. It's 1990. He's taking pictures of Danny, and I'm sitting there going, are these guys gay?
Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, hello.
The G word has been activated on
weren't.
tonight's podcast, folks. Now,
Yeah. All up in the house, yeah.
Mr. Eric's alternative lifestyle.
Not that there's
would never
anything
Don't you talk
wrong
about
with
my-
that.
the
Don't
alphabet
you talk
people.
about my alternative
We would
smile
never
over there, boy.
besmirch the alphabet people. Which is not what
We're
we
all
do
with
here.
you, Mr. You brother.
Every time I think about the
The
way he
struggle
rides,
is real. The struggle is real.
a tear on my cheek.
He's like Harvey Milk of the Tulsa Sound music.
That's right. I'll milk your Harvey. Girl.
We have another shot of you guys. You guys are young here.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny because it was like, I don't care if they were gay or not, but it was just like, he's taking the pictures and it's like, what in the hell is he that cute? What is going on?
Well.
So, but yeah, that's him there, and that's us at the
Maybe
camp.
the bitch owed him
Bands
money.
did all their own promotion. Bands did all their own artwork. I mean, you had to have somebody on the crew that could actually make posters.
Yeah, we had very talented people with Mark and Terry, and we were really lucky to have them. When Terry got in the band,
That looks like the Canes Ballroom.
that is the Canes Ballroom, and we were
Oh,
playing
yeah,
with a
man.
band called Lucy's Fur Coat, and there was like nobody there that night. But
Oh.
it never mattered to me. How
That's
many
okay.
people were
Nobody
at
was there
Canes.
when the police played either.
right.
It never. I played it packed, and I played it with dead, and it doesn't matter. You're playing the Canes.
Yep.
You're adding to the history, and you're taking part of the history.
So-
and it doesn't matter, man.
Steve,
So,
while we're talking about the Canes,
you know,
guys
Schaefer. Yeah,
you
go
guys
ahead.
opened for NOTA. Who else?
Well, we opened up for Anthrax and
And I
Misfits.
remember that night.
Yeah, we opened.
Wow, what a show!
We got to open up for quite a few bands that were our heroes. Like DRI. We opened up for Caius. We opened up for Trouble. We opened up, and so many. I don't know if people heard of these bands, but we loved them at the time, and
At the
and it was
time,
like and
You were
Dead
in
Horse.
the best
yeah.
position in town to get a gig
I know.
opening for these hardcore
Yeah.
bands. And Steve was already in the house. He was
Well-
part of the crew, and Larry loved Steve. I want to tell you this.
I loved Larry.
Oh man, we both love
Still-
him.
Larry's
still
son.
to
We need
this
to go
day.
over to his office. And
He's
I would
wild.
love
in
to.
on him.
I'd love to.
We need to
love
get the
really
cameras. We need to
Schaefer's-
follow that.
But
Larry-
Larry
We need
had
to
a lot of
follow that
affection and
tour.
respect for Steve, and once
He was a great man.
he saw that I got Steve's approval, then he
Larry
walked
was
up
o-
to me.
he
I mean,
was-
really,
you were
was in
okay
that
with
order.
him.
It was in that order.
Well, he's a legend, and I mean, when you look at the
Fucking
hierarchy
legend,
of things
man.
that happen in this town, I mean, it's like Leon, JJ, Gaylord Sartain, Gary Busey, and Larry Schaefer. I mean,
Larry Schaefer,
where
the
would this town? What would the Tulsa Sound be without
Larry
Larry
Scha-
Schaefer doing his thing at the Canes from the '70s on?
Well,
You mean cocaine?
Larry was
ladies and gentlemen.
Larry was able to book.
Boom.
It was legal back then.
able
It's
to
okay,
book
kids. Don't
Sex
worry.
Pistols and Frank Sinatra.
The
There's
Pitbulls
no
were on
other
legal
promoter in
crap.
town that can say that.
He was a wonderful.
The same
promoter.
guy took Chuck Berry fishing and told me a story about puking in the backseat of Chuck Berry's car.
Robert Plant stayed at his house when he came to Tulsa.
Yeah, man.
Or whatever.
I mean, the same guy mowed his yard with a machine gun.
Yeah.
Larry Schaefer mowed his lawn.
Well, he didn't mow his
cleared some
lawn.
land.
He cleared some trees off some property up on Grand Lake with a machine gun, and the lake patrol got called in.
And that's the shit that
Well,
happens when you're a legend, man.
rounds were hitting out in the lake. That's how. Well, first everybody heard it, but then the lake patrol
Larry,
witnessed
I'm
the
sorry,
rounds
but we have to tell the
hitting the
story.
lake. Well, he had a clear mind that day, and it was a good idea.
It was a rare time.
It's a hell of a way to clear some property, and it's
I
cheaper
found
than
this.
cheaper than a tractor.
It's like a spoof on the old Teen Beat magazine.
magazine.
Which was huge at the time. Teenage
Huge.
girls bought Teen
Yeah.
Beat every week.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
Tiffany and
win a date with Steve Ray.
a dream
A
date.
dream date.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that to happen.
Hello.
Lots of hunky pinups. I just love it. Man, tell us about this poster.
I don't know really about that, but it's one of the oldest things I have, and I do believe Danny Dodge gave that to
I
me.
love that,
So I don't know
actually.
if he drew that or somebody
Pretty
he
cool,
knew did that. but I know that was not done by Terry or Mark.
It feels different.
Yeah,
When you look at it.
and I loved it. It was like in the back of our shirts for
Yeah.
the early days. Yeah, that's inside of the Feeding Frenzy right there. Mark Torrance always made me look good and would take shots and lighting and stuff where I didn't look fat. He was awesome, man.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
I love that dude for that. He was the best, except when I was Elvis and when I was trying to look.
Well, then you wanted it.
This looks like Windjammer, but I don't know. It could be no, it's not Cane's.
All right.
It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but yeah, that looks like the Windjammer or Iggy's.
Man, and there was a
or
lot to be
something.
said for driving away from the Windjammer at 2 a.m. 21st and Garnett. That's right where the police are looking for you.
In those days we didn't have a lot of cameras. There weren't a lot. There
No.
weren't a lot of pictures taken.
It was
Yeah.
it was hard to research this
And so,
project
yeah.
because and I was trying to explain this to the young guys on our staff here that
Yeah.
people didn't carry cameras back then,
They what?
and it was uncool to just take pictures. I mean, it wasn't
Oh no! If you
necessarily-
would have brought one to the Canes for a load in, we would.
Oh, you would have been
Oh,
asked
yeah.
to turn it off, to put it away.
not have been
Yeah.
cool.
No,
And
yeah.
young guys don't understand that. What, a camera wasn't cool? No, it just
wasn't.
wasn't.
No.
It wasn't cool. But the
Phones
thing, what are you
weren't
doing?
cool at load-ins either when they
No.
started out with them. It's like, hey, what are you doing? Talking on the phone while we're working
Right.
there.
That looks like the icon, maybe.
I don't know.
I recognize the monitors.
Well, then maybe.
Well, there you go.
That may be. That's
Yeah.
Trev and it looks like Andy. I can't tell. Yeah, I don't have my glasses. That's still the pies in the face night. 3 of them at least. More Great Pumpkin.
I love this promo shot.
That is
This is the 8x10 glossy.
now that is right there near. And the same day we shot there at the Union Depot place, and there's some stairs real near there. And yeah, I like that. We were all.
Yeah, you had to have a headshot back in the day because you had to have something to post at the deli
We all had
or
to,
truck stop.
We all had to have
This
a
is what
band
the-
T-shirt on.
This is what
here.
the club required. This is what places wanted to see
Yeah,
from you.
You didn't have
if you wanted to get there.
EPKs.
Right.
You know, you
Exactly.
Had to, you had
There
to
were
go
no
out
websites.
and have these made, and
Absolutely, and it was an investment. You know,
Yeah.
this was serious. This stepped up your game and let the promoters and bookers know that you were serious.
for sure.
I mean, it was really the next step.
Let them know what you had access to.
Photography.
Photography, to
So you won't help their gig.
telephone poles, to a
Telephone
T70
poles to let a
stapler.
lot of people know about a lot of gigs in this town.
No, that's Andy and Shannon again, and that's me again, and that's that same night with the
All right.
with the Yankee pants and the Black Cat. That's the Black Cat in Austin, Texas.
Oh,
It
Black
was on
Cat in
6th
Austin,
Street. It was a
Texas.
really cool shirt. It was, the clubs down there in those days, man, they like, part of the ceilings were missing. You could just look up in the sky. It was like unbelievable what was
Yeah,
going on
Texas
in those
for
days.
sure.
And it was like Beirut or
Or they
something.
were like weird Victorian kind of like living rooms or something. It was like strange. You know, it's still that way.
Yeah.
So,
That. Yeah, this Stevie Ray Manson thing.
Stevie Ray Manson. Now,
know.
so it was very common in punk rock for them to use kind of like nom de plumes, if you will, kind of a stage
Nom de
name,
guerre.
but not necessarily a stage name. Something kind of creepy, something like, Stevie Ray Manson's a great example. Andy Christ Hitler, Trev Hinckley, after John Hinckley, I guess Terry, Uncle Ed, again, Sir Dan, Sir Danny Dahmer. I mean, and so it was tongue in cheek, but it was also a little dark, and
Well,
right.
very
after
punk rock. Very,
then Marilyn Manson came out, I couldn't use that name anymore.
Right.
And so I started going by Steve-O, and then guess what happened? And so now I'm going with Stelvis.
Stavros. God damn
I
it,
love
Stavros.
the Elvis thing.
Yeah.
Here comes some original artwork. Oh, you folks. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, now that's some cool artwork there.
This was some great stuff.
That's Tim Lehigh out of Wichita, Kansas. He was a tattoo artist, and when we brought that orchestra to town, it began a tattoo explosion. It was the ground zero of tattooing in
Ground
Tulsa.
zero.
I'm telling you, it was 10 years before that it was legal here, but
Oh, yeah.
people were they were taking buses to Wichita getting tattoos and
Yeah.
getting sleeved up.
People would. Yeah, or they'd take a
It
bus
was
to
like once-
Arkansas.
Once they came here and they met these guys from Wichita, and they had sleeves, in 1992.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like
Took a lot longer
you
back
got
then.
tattoos back then. You got pulled over by the cops. They wanted to know where you went to penitentiary at. you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it was a different deal. You know,
Man.
yeah, it's a TU game with my daughter there.
All right. I love this
TU
picture, man.
game.
Look at you, man. I always knew you'd be a great
I'm all
dad,
spazzing.
Steve.
He's got that
there's a guy
TU
staring
supporting
down the
TU,
camera. I had to
folks.
put the
I love
poop
the
over his
poop over his
face.
face.
He should have smiled. I wouldn't have done it.
That's so good.
It was a hammered thing.
Oh, I let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, well,
I
Uh-oh.
let the cat out of the bag. So we have an ulterior purpose for bringing Steve into the studio tonight, guys. And Steve has an announcement. I can just say it at that.
well, I don't know how much of an announcement it is.
We played the announcement music, so you've got to make the announcement.
It sounds like a Seinfeld episode. Yeah,
Well,
I've been.
announcement
Hammered Saint is a project by Toby Mask that he's been trying to get off the ground for like 12, 15 years with different musicians, and it's some sort of tribute to, like you said, classic metal or whatever. And I've been singing with the great David Soupbone Thomas,
All right.
the great David Mooney,
Dave Mooney. Hey, Dave.
the great Eddie Bishop from Raucous, Osolution. He did a stint in Texas Hippie Coalition. He's one of the best guitar players in town. And our drummer is Ben Gleason, who used to be in a couple of death metal bands. So we need him. He's also been in like blues bands and country bands and stuff, you know, but he's into this heavy, the drums that we needed, the energetic drums kind of. He is, me and him have joked about, you know, slugging it out for weakest link. So, but yeah.
So this is a new project, guys.
Well, it's not really that new, but it's we've been doing it for almost a year now, but we haven't really kind of got completely. It's been really hard to get together and all this stuff with these guys. It's kind of a Tulsa super group, and these things you just can't push. You just can't, you know. So
It seems like the older that you get, it just gets harder and harder
It is.
to do it.
it kind of does.
And maybe it comes back to the fact when we were young, we had literally nothing else to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, but these guys, you know, as far as Soupbone and Mooney, they
Yeah.
are professional musicians, make their living, play music, and so we work around their schedules to a degree. And then other guys have things going on in their lives, and
I will say
we've
this.
had some old men kind of things, you know, outpatient things happen like that, you know. So
Know how that works?
Soup-Bone is
yeah.
the most technically proficient and cleanest guitar player in the city.
Well-
the guy, time, and this is time in the studio, time on stage. He consistently delivers. His playing is clean and it's precise, and that's what I want to say about Soup-Bone. If you haven't checked him out, go check out Soup-Bone. He's the shit.
yeah, man, he's
Well, I'm on
Dave Thomas.
Team Steve Hickerson, and we're going to see you in court.
well, these guys are among the best guitar
We love
players.
Steve Hickerson.
And
Team Steve Hickerson.
yeah, man, they are good guys. And
So
made me
Dave
spit on
Mooney's
my
been
mouth.
playing bass. I was trying to
Yeah.
explain to Mr. Eric Dave Mooney's style of bass playing. How would you describe his bass playing?
godlike.
There you go. See,
There you go.
That's what a bass player wants to hear. He doesn't want you to call him a lead bass player because that's an insult to our souls.
That's it. I mean, that's just the first thing that came to mind. It's like all these guys are. And I mean, I've really been having to step up my game, you know, because I don't want
Yeah.
to. I'm telling you what, I don't want
Dave
these guys.
Mooney's the legitimate article. I spent
They
2
all
years
are.
in a band with Dave Mooney.
Did you?
Yeah, for 2 years the man didn't wear shoes. He didn't wear shoes from 1994 to 96 for sure.
He's wearing them now.
He's wearing shoes now.
Oh, thank
All right,
God
well, I'm
for
glad
that.
to hear that.
Yeah, yeah.
As his professional podiatrist and
Yeah, but I could have never just even dreamed in my wildest dreams about getting together with these guys. And if I ever would have, I would just thought, yeah, right. So
Wow.
Toby kind of put this together. I'm really thankful that he has. And it's been a little bit of a journey to try to get where we want. Hopefully we'll get together and play a gig this
Nice,
summer. I think
nice.
these guys are all, they've put enough time into it that they don't want to walk away. So we're gonna.
Hey,
we're
Tulsa's ready for it. Tulsa's ready for
I
it.
think that Tulsa needs this kind of show after COVID and all this crap, and it's like, who knows what's around
Man,
the corner.
we are
next.
2
So-
years post-COVID. It's
Yeah.
time to just get
so
back.
hopefully
to
this summer we
complete
can
normal.
get out there and play a show and let.
Yeah, I'm
everybody
feeling
come.
like committing to something.
Don't.
Could it be a Tulsa Sound Podcast show this
It
summer?
could be. It could be.
Could be.
Possibly at the venue shrine. Possibly.
Yes, it
Possible.
probably will be at the venue shine,
Yes,
but we
yes.
will
Shout out to
definitely let
Donnie.
you guys to.
Donnie, baby.
We'll let
We're
you
always
guys
shouting
announce
out
it.
to Donnie.
We'll give you the exclusive
Yes,
announcement.
absolutely,
rights.
guys. So
play that
keep your
Donnie
eyes
music.
and keep your ears open for a potential date coming this summer. Exciting stuff from Hammered Saint
It's
here in
gonna be
Tulsa
good.
at the Tulsa Sound
Yes, they have
Podcast.
made me, like get in there and sing at home all the time, and it's like I never did that in a band before because I was just like too busy recuperating my vocals from,
Yeah.
and so now I'm like, really working on it at home, and it's like I've really got my chops up, and it's like, if I just keep with this up, man, I'm going on The Voice. I think
That's it.
Well, look, dude. I mean, I'm 62, so it's forgivable now. My street cred, I'm sitting on a pyramid of, and so now it's like, well, he's just a cute old man going on The Voice. So it's like I get these people all,
Or maybe the Masked Singer.
Oh well, no.
Guys, I encourage
no.
anyone watching.
That's
this
too much like
broadcast,
Guar.
Go
I'm
out
sorry.
and watch this new
Kind of
incarnation. Go out and see Hammered Saint. Get that experience. Feel that driving drum beat. Feel the power of Steve Ray's
Feel the
voice. Get
power.
out there. Buy their T-shirts. Buy their merch.
Oh, man,
Go out there.
Buy it
see
all.
them for sure, man.
Yeah.
We're very excited about this.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff happening in Tulsa.
It is a good thing for the city of Tulsa. I tell you, as far as Mooney and Sue Bone are concerned, I mean they grew up liking this kind of music a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It is their thing. But they don't have the kind of gigs to where they can just showcase it to people. And I think that the older kind of metalhead people know who they are. The younger ones don't. They need to see these
They
guys.
need to know it.
They need to see these guys because
They need exposure.
If Sue Bone's got 1 million videos on and believe me, on YouTube or in other places.
Simbo's out there 3 or 4 nights a week playing around. He plays with
and
Michelle Warren.
Bad
He's out there all the
Decisions.
time.
I think they're playing tonight, right now.
He plays with
Lennox
Charlie
as we
Red.
speak.
There we go. Yep.
He's part of Charlie Red's outfit. So,
Yeah.
the guy plays in multiple genres, and he's just as clean and proficient in each genre. And that speaks volumes about Soup Bone.
He's a
about
very
Dave
special
Thomas.
guitar player. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Well, we're going to jump to a commercial real quick, and then we'll come back and wrap the whole thing up. So
right.
stick around. We'll be right back.
Right back.
Tulsa Sound Podcast.
Tulsa Sound
Tulsa Sound
Podcast.
Podcast. Tulsa Sound Podcast. Say it over and over. Say it over and over. Yeah. Tulsa Sound Podcast. Yeah.
The bus stop wants you to know that all women need proper support. Not just full-figured women, but all women, all the time. From daily support to after 5 support. From workout support to maternity support. That's why we're here, to make sure you get the right fit. No matter what your size, even custom fit and prosthesis fitting. It's a better fit than you'll find in a department store. And why do you need a fit this good? The bus stop.
Call 1-800-652-6552 for your vacation.
All right, we're back with the Tulsa Sound Podcast. We're back.
All right, we're back. With
We're
our
back
good
with the
friend
Tulsa. All
Steve
right,
Ray.
we're back. Let's say it one more time. We're back.
We're back. Ruben, we're back. Nathan,
right.
we're back.
Yeah, we want to thank our crew tonight, Ruben.
Man, Ruben
God
Blackshire
bless
for doing
you,
a great job.
Ruben. And thank you so much, Ruben, for working with that Setstone show at the Canes a couple of weeks ago. Got a great video on that. We'll be on the next show. We'll get that out there for you. And of course,
Ruben, in case you guys didn't know, Ruben is Tulsa's fastest rising lighting designer out at the gathering.
he's rising. He's fastest. He's rising.
Yes,
he's rising.
Nathan.
Like
Hall,
the
our
dope boy on the
producer.
Gumby cartoon. And then Nathan, who is our new genius, super genius back
Oh,
there.
man,
He's
our streaming expert,
streaming
our
expert,
producer,
director.
We couldn't do it without you.
We can't do it without you. Big hand, big hand. And of course, you up there in the audience, up there, we love you all.
Yes, as we stare out over downtown
God bless
Tulsa.
you. Yeah, downtown Tulsa.
What a wonderful
Oh,
view.
boy. Well, anyway, Steve, man, it's been so great having you here on the show.
Thank you.
You were great. We were just
There's
saying.
a lot of stuff happening around Tulsa
Yeah.
these days. You know, have you been out lately around?
I don't get out a lot.
Let's go out. I'm gonna take Steve
Yeah,
out
we
somewhere.
should do it.
We won't stay long.
Okay.
Just go in
One of the
and
things
get
we
to
like
a
to do is
fight.
go down to Annalini's Pizza and eat really expensive pizza if it's good, and then just sit around out in the cold because, you know, here at Tulsa Sound Podcast, we like to keep it cold in the winter and hot in the summer. But you know, there's one thing, kind of a closing thought on my part. You know, folks, we live in a day and age today when there's a lot of really interesting movies, a lot of interesting projects out there. Things like Sharknado, Bear on Coke, Sharks on Coke.
Cocaine Bear?
Cocaine Bear. Yeah, that's what I meant. But you know, Pitbulls on Crack, I think you guys created the whole animal on drug disaster genre.
For certain.
I mean, really, it's if you think
You have
about
a point
it.
there. You do have a point.
I mean, if we could trace that back, so we're going to do some
Yeah.
internet research, but I believe that you guys started a trend that has made the world a better place to live.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking coming in here tonight. So,
I mean, the thing about Pitbulls on Crack is they always told it like it was, and you guys didn't mince words, and you guys weren't afraid. You guys stood up for what you believed in. You said what you wanted to say. A lot of the bands these days skirt around and eggshell walk, and you guys never did that.
No.
You guys were authentic to the core, and that's what music needs.
well, it's probably too late to apologize now. So,
Well, don't even start because the list would go on and on and on and on.
I'm just kidding.
But ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for tuning in with us again. And
Yes, go out and see live music.
and remember, we're also going to have, before too long, you'll be able to get our new Tulsa Sound Podcast a theme song.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have downloads available for that too. So
Absolutely.
it's a sort of a little.
If you see me out and around,
Tulsa sort
I
of
got
little
T-shirts
sound.
for sale. and
Oscar's
hoodies for
got
sale.
Tulsa Sound Podcast
T-shirts
T-shirt
and hoodies,
bitch. She is
absolutely.
the T-shirt bitch.
Hey, and while you guys are out and around town, go out and check out Seth Lee Jones at the Colony on Thursday nights.
There you go, yeah.
Check out Paul Benjamin at the
Benjamin?
Mercury on
Oh, yeah.
Thursdays.
Yeah.
Check out
Yeah,
Paul
it's great.
Benjamin's Sunday night thing. He has a different
I have.
guest every week. He's been doing it for 12 years.
12
It is an
years.
institution in this town. Buy Scott Evans' new album, guys.
Yeah.
Scott has put out a fantastic product. Pick up his record. Scott Evans, wonderful songwriter from here in Oklahoma. Go out and see the Red Dirt Rangers every Saturday at 3 o'clock at the Mercury Lounge. You can see Pilgrim there on Wednesdays and Brad Absher on Mondays.
Yeah,
Guys,
don't forget
go out and
Absher for
see
crying out
these
loud.
guys.
Where's he these days?
Brad Absher is at the Hunt Club on Thursdays
Oh, yeah?
and at the Mercury Lounge every Monday night. at
He's
8
a
o'clock.
sweetheart. He's funny when he gets stoned.
Man,
Boy,
Brad
I'll tell you.
Absher's the best. We love Brad Absher. We love Amy. Man, we love our supporters. Guys, thanks for watching the Tulsa Sound Podcast. I'm Oscar Padron.
I'm
Brad-
Mr. Eric
And Steve Ray.
and Steve.
Thanks.
All right, good
Thanks
night.
to the
Roll that
Thanks.
beautiful bean footage.
Yes. That's something Steve used to say back
That's so funny.
This song is called Why Did I Let You Live? Am I playing the wrong one?